so welcome again, Sandra. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Oh, I'm a woman of many parts. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Sandra Ukoh. I have my PhD in view. I should have rounded up before now, but I trust God. God's timing is actually the best. I'm also, I'm a person that would not sit down not doing something. So over time, when I moved over to this side of the country, I became an author. If somebody had told me 5, 10 years ago that I was going to be an author, I'll tell you it's a lie because I'm a science-based person. I love to read and I love chemistry. I love maths because I read biochemistry, but at fourth degree, second degree was biochemistry. Then my PhD in cell biology and genetics, anything to do with cell disintegration, both plants and cells. So, and now I'm a graphic person. Will you call? I'm a podcaster. I'm a ghostwriter. I write books for people. I also, create content for people. And beyond that, I'm a lover of God, a child of God, a mother. I have 3 kids, married to my school boyfriend, Emmanuel. We've been friends for 8 years. Our marriage will be 20 years in 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks from today. God has been awesome, I'll tell you. That's it. In summary, that's what I'll say. It's been an awesome God.
That's
I know I'm
wonderful.
here to harness all that God has given unto me. One thing that also rings a bell to me is David was a multitasker. David was good in all of his calling and all of his giftings. So we are not meant to just sit at one place and say, okay, this is what I can do better. You need to find out your strength zone. Where are you good in? Beyond leaving your comfort zone, strength zone means you're in a strength zone where you need little or no efforts to make things happen. So those areas are your strength zone, things you can, while you're sleeping, somebody wakes you up, you're able to do it. So you can say, okay, these are my strength zone. I can do it with little or no efforts. Then beyond that, you want to aspire for greater things, then you have to leave your comfort zone. So, you have to stretch yourself. They said you don't grow if you don't stretch. If what you're doing right now is just within what you can do, you won't grow, even if it's your strength zone. Yes, you might be good in that area, but you'll need to look for someone who inspires you to doing greater things. So beyond that, we must just be ready to adapt to changes as change comes.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. You said something about tapping into your strengths. And so I'm going to bring the conversation. I think we're going to use that as our way in to start this conversation this afternoon. So, how do you use data to leverage your strengths?
Yeah, first of all, let me start what data is so that everybody understands and everyone is on the same page. I know it's very basic. Data refers to raw material, raw facts, figures, observation, measurements that are collected, recorded, or stored for analysis, reference, or further processing. One of the reasons we have data is, how do you get to know what has gone wrong in 1901? Based on the data, based on the references, based on stored information. That's why we can go back and say, such a person did this, and that's it. In the simplest form, data can be represented as an individual piece of information, just the information you gather from your friends, such as numbers, text, images, and symbols. That's data in a simpler form. And you probably want to ask yourself again, how do you structure data? We found out that data, we have structured data, we have unstructured data, and we have semi-structured data. Data is based on the way you get them. So you're able to tell if this data is a structured data or is unstructured data. And most companies these days depend on structured data to be able to make, informed decision. A lot happens here in the US. I have a friend who is a data analyst. He said once he gets to the office, he works all around till he's leaving. They even want him to work at home. That's to tell you how important data is. He will tell me, I'm cleaning the data, I'm doing something on the data, I'm trying to put it in a form that whoever is going to use that data in a meeting will be able to, use it to describe whatever scenarios they want to use it for, or pass an information. If we were to look at structured data organized in a predetermined way, such as tables. A lot of times when we get data, sometimes it could be scattered data. But when we start putting it in a format that will be understandable by any other person, such as putting it on a table, on a spreadsheet or database. Such data could be referred as structured data. Typically, they follow a consistent manner. So when you're seeing the data, you can tell the data that it's going from least to highest, or it's going from highest to least, meaning those data have been arranged in a systematic format such that anyone who sees it will be able to say, okay, there's been an increase in the business in the last 5 years. Rather than having data scattered, you can have the highest here, you have the middle, you have the least in the middle, and everything is scattered. No, but having a data structured. We have unstructured data that lack a predetermined structure, organization, such as text message, documents, emails, social media posts, or multimedia posts or files. Unstructured data may require more advanced techniques for analysis and interpretation. And that's when you start seeing people saying, okay, all the ones that have these numbers, put them here. Okay, all the numbers are between 0 to 5, put them on this number. That's because we want to create, we want to go from unstructured data to structured data. Because in order for you to be able to make a meaningful decision or apply it to whatever business or research that you're doing, you must have a structured data. So we go from unstructured, semi-structured to structured data. So I think in summary, in order to be able to make informed decision and to be able to describe whatever is going on in an incident in a particular area, then we must have a structured data. Data must be arranged. And if you look further, when we say, okay, what is data? Data is the raw format. Information is when it's been processed, it becomes an informed information, informed message. I hope I'm giving you what you want, sister.
Yeah, you are schooling us and we love it. Thank you so much for that. So one of the things that you said, you differentiated between structured and unstructured data, and I think that's great for everyone so that we can all be on the same page. So now that we have a deeper understanding of the different ways that data can be structured or arranged, let's bring that back to playing to strengths and decision making. So now you have your data that has been structured. Now you've cleaned it up. Now everything looks great. Where do you go from there? How do you use that data to make decisions in order to play to your strengths?
Yeah, data serves as foundation for information, knowledge, and insight. Through analysis and interpretation, you can have a data in an Excel format, Excel sheet. You can decide that you want to plot a graph. So that's simplistic, just seeing the diagram going from, a zigzag curve. You can say, okay, this is not stable. The situation in this country, or maybe the rainfall in a particular zone, has not been consistent. It's been eclectic. It comes and goes. So it's not. But in some areas, you can see a straight line curve. Then you can say, oh, rain has been consistent, starting from a particular month in the year, and it has, it has increased. So you can make plans in making decisions that, okay, this crop needs a lot of water. I cannot plant it during the eclectic time when it doesn't rain often. So now that I know that the raining season is going to a peak, it is climbing up, then I can say, okay, what are the things I need to plant? Water leaf, okra, what are the things, what kind of plant do I need to put into the soil? Since it's consistent, I just heard a story of a man who said you can grow yam in 2 months. I don't know how true that is. He said what yam needs is consistent water. And most times you plant yam during dry season towards August, September. So the rainy season is already going off. So when rain starts the following year, that's when we start planning to harvest yam. That's to let you know that because the yam has been in the soil for a longer period with not having enough water, the yam will not grow. It will slow down its growth. So the man was giving us a scenario, an illustration that he has this yam in bags and he waters it maybe once or twice every week. And in less than 2 months, a yam tuber is ready to be harvested. And I'm like, if this is fun. So the guy was saying that even in the economy in Nigeria right now, you can grow yam so much faster than you would have been doing in the time past. So with the informed decision that rain is going to be consistent in a particular season, this will inform us to make a decision to say, okay, this is the crop I should plant at this particular time. At this particular time, I should be getting ready, getting my seeds ready, getting all the things I will need, my manure, my fertilizer, all the resources I will need and materials towards growing these plants. So with this data, having it arranged in an informed format, either in an Excel sheet, plotting a graph as a pie chart, a bar chart, an histogram, whatever you want to use it to, but having them in a systematic way being arranged, it's able to give you foundation for great information, knowledge, and insight. And also, this will also would help you in making meaningful decision making, drive strategic initiatives, support research endeavors, and also facilitate problem solving. There's a lot of problems that people have, and they're not able to even have an understanding or a grasp of what that problem is. But when they have data of a particular area, what has happened in that area, they're able to make a decision. They're able to say, okay, this is the problem, and this is how we can solve this problem in subsequent days to come.
Yes, I think that that's very, very interesting. One of the things that I was thinking about is that, wow, so data helps you simplify your processes, for lack of a better word. It doesn't only help you create solutions, it also helps you come up with a simplified way of doing things. So let's use the example of the man who discovered that, or based on his experiment and over time, he discovered that, look, yam needs this amount of water. So rather than putting my tubers on the floor, like the seedlings in the floor for 7 months, I have to simplify this process and condense it down to 2 months. He could only have arrived at that through the use of data, by monitoring over time, like how much water will grow a tuber of yam and all. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Does anyone have any questions at this time? Remember, we have an interactive session here before we go on. Okay, all right. So the next thing that I wanted us to talk about is, so now we have different people who come at, like, when we talk about data, they have different understanding of what it means. There are some people that approach it in a very complex manner. There's some people that you have to simplify it or else you're going to lose them. True. And so imagine that you run a study and you have a mixed audience. So you have people who are into the machine learning, the big data people, and then you have the people who are just coming in and are trying to figure it out. So how will you convey the complex insights that you've gotten from your data? How will you be able to share that information with people of across different levels in the same sitting? How do you simplify your message?
Okay, I will start with using a medical record. In today's digital age, data plays a central role in virtually every aspect of our business. Everything we do has to do with numbers. That's why I said, when you don't know, if you tell me you don't know maths, I'll tell you you do maths every day of your life. And even checking the time, calculating what time you need to go and pick your kids from school, you're solving a mathematical equation. You are solving a mathematical problem. Checking the time you need to be in church, when you need to get back home, when you need to do a certain thing, when you need to do first in, first out, like that. It's all maths. It's all in a simplistic form, mathematics. The maths that most of us will tell, I don't like maths. We are doing mathematics every day. And that's one of the foundation that you must do maths in school, because you need numbers as you go on in life. Even your age, when you calculate your age, when you're doing your birthday, when you're calculating, you want to measure something. In the kitchen as a cook, you want to measure something as the number, okay, what's the quantity of flour do I need to add to a particular, how many eggs do I need to add to a particular bowl of flour to make, my cake to be soft and everything. Everything has to do with mathematics. And it says that data plays a central role in businesses, in science, in technology, healthcare, education, and even the society at large. With the proliferation of data collection, technology, and tools, organizations also have unprecedented access to vast amounts of data. We have data at our beck and call. The information you have on your phone, your friends on your phone, the numbers you have on your phone, those are data. People are ready to buy those information from you. When I was going to leave my sales and marketing in Nigeria, I have a few friends who told me, Sandra, sell your contact to me. And I said, beyond just selling the contact, if you don't know those contacts, it is not also easy to break in, because some people like to be private. How did you get my number? Where did you get my number from? You understand that? Beyond that, I also need you to, to do it. I need to do a three-way call, making the other party feel very comfortable to dealing with you. Otherwise, they'll think you picked their number somewhere and they would never want to deal with you. They'll see you as a scam. So creating new opportunity and challenges for leveraging data is effective to achieving your goals. So in a simplistic term, for anybody coming in, show them the numbers. They can see the number vividly, that the numbers are not regular. The numbers are scattered. So you cannot decide what is the smallest number and what is the highest number. How do we arrange it? Do we arrange from descending or ascending order? Do we put them in a table in such a way that we have a certain pool of numbers that maybe 0 to 2 in this number? So that means every fraction and every number between 0 and 2 is in one portion. Then you can say, okay, 3 to 4 is in another portion. Then like that, before you know it, you have different sectors. So if you're going to do a pie chart with that, it will tell you we have more of these numbers in this particular range, maybe 7 to 8. We have more of them. So that in a simplistic term has informed the person that these numbers were at first scattered, but we had to put them in groups in order to be able to give an understanding. And so that when we start explaining, we can say, if you look at these numbers are fewer than these numbers. So we can imply that we have more people in this region doing this business at this particular time. So even in a simplistic thing, you have to also make them see the numbers, see how scattered the numbers are before you start structuring them. Because the moment you come out with a structured information, structured data sheet, structured map, or whatever you want to put together, anybody seeing a number will probably not understand how did she come about these numbers. But if you let them see the raw data, where you started from, where you are now, and what you did to achieve what you are showing out to the public or to the world, people will better have an understanding of what data is and how to use data.
Thank you so much for that. So there are 3 things that I picked from what you were saying. The first thing I picked is that you need to simplify your communication. You need to simplify when you're sharing data or the data results with people. You need to simplify it and make it common. So for instance, I like the analogy of timing, letting them know, hey, this is like when you check your time. This is like when you have to figure out how many cups of flour you need to use. So bringing it down to everyday life brings it to life for a lot of people. You let them know that, look, you can, using analogies of what happens in real time will help people get a better understanding. The second thing that I picked from what you said is that we need to break it down to the basics. Break it down to the basics. Like you said, start from this is what data looks like. When you see data like this, then you start arranging it, and then you go from this step and then to the next step. So when you break it down to the basics, it's easier for people to understand. You give them the basic level. The third thing that I got from what you said is show them the process. So there's a process of conducting data analysis. Walk them through the process. Let them understand what the process is. And I think that ties down to the second thing that I just talked about. Because when people have an understanding of the process, like you said, we put the data in ascending order and descending order. And then from doing that, we go to the next step of trying to maybe cluster them based on specifics. And then we analyze the data to come up with our insights. So you take them through a process so they don't just arrive at the end. You don't just come in to a presentation and say, hey, we have 10,000 people that are coming in. And they're like, where did you get this 10,000 from? Right? But taking them through the process and making them understand what it is a great way to bring everyone up to speed. So those are 3 core things that I got from what you said. I think we have a question in the comments.
You might want to read it out.
Oh, yes. How did you use data while pursuing biochemistry undergrad? And how has it changed, if it has, with your current education position and field, genetics?
Yeah, it has really helped me. One, data only comes out when you want to do. I worked on oxidative stress in in liver chromosomes of rats, because you can't kill a human being and say you want to inject them chlorophenicol. So we got rats because we're trying it as a pilot study. If it does affect the rats, then it can affect a human being. We started with a particular concentration. We went higher and higher. We left the rats after injecting them with chlorophenicol. Waited for them. We got data. How do we get the data? We had to find out, okay, what are the things you need to measure? So you must determine, first thing first, determine your objective. What am I going into? What do I want to achieve in this particular project? Understanding it will help you to define your goals, what you're going to be measuring, what you're going to be looking out for. Then we were looking at liver. So at the end of the day, we're going to kill the rats. We're going to take their liver. We're going to take them to, then, you have to go all the way to IITA. Most of the schools then, I finished like 24 years ago. So you can imagine those days, we have to go to IITA to queue up. You understand? So say you want to go and, homogenize your liver, then do some analysis, to check the effects of oxidation. And then you're checking a lipid, okay, what are the parameters you want to measure? So you're checking about radical formation, how fast, what is the radical formation do you have? Because one of the reasons is when a particular state is not good for a particular animal, there's always an induced state. And in that induced state, we're probably checking, okay, lipid peroxidation, what causes, radicals to be formed in the body? Maybe because of stress. There's some stress that will lead to other terminal diseases. And that's why when you have cancer doesn't just start from something. It starts somewhere from the cell. The cell is reacting to something that nobody knows because the body is covered. And the human body, you can't open the human body and say you want to take small liver to go and check. But when you take animals that you can use for illustration, and it's okay, let's inject them and see how they react to stress. Sometimes even stress that causes most of these major diseases. The underlying sickness and things that people are experiencing today is either they're not sleeping, they are doing night work, they're doing 4, 5 jobs, and they're hardly sleeping, and they're taking coffee, taking a lot of things to keep them awake. The human body, you don't get to see anything happening. It's happening inside. It's inside you. So by the time you start seeing it outward happening outside, the cells inside are already dead. There's little or nothing you can do. And that's why they said it is good you go annually or twice biannually for checkup. Because most of these things that gets to the physical, that people becomes visible, has already started internally and has already started in a small, minute way. And because no one gets to see it or no one is paying adequate attention, that thing continues to grow and to disturb the cell. This has helped me because as a result of that analysis, I'm able to come up with data because after measuring, and one of the reasons we do large numbers or we measure a particular specimen over and over is to reduce error. So that means if I have 10 measurements, by the time I take an average of it, if there's even an error in that thing, it will be reduced to the minimum rather than just taking a measurement, just one measurement and working with that measurement. But I'm taking like 10 readings and I'm coming back to take an average of it. So I'm reducing the error. So even if there's going to be an error, the error is reduced to the minimum because I'm doing an average summation, average analysis of these results. So that helped me. And even when I started doing business, I had a laundry shop, I had a bakery. I did a lot of things from Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria, you want to survive. Even as much as you're working, I was a salesperson. I was getting a fat salary. Sorry. But I was very versatile. I was doing other things. And so in doing those things, I also need to measure. Am I making it? It got to a time, the grocery store I had, when it was time for me to close it, nobody told me. I just told my husband, we're closing this business today. He said, why? I said, because we're not breaking even. And he's asking me, why would you just close the store? I said, count the costs and leave while the ovation is high. Not when you lose everything and you don't have anything left. Because a lot of times you just keep managing and managing and managing until the thing comes to a crumble stop when the thing cannot move again. So that's not what we should do. As scientists, when you see things are not moving in the right manner, we need to count the costs, check it out and say, okay, is this time for me to close this business? Is this time for us to stop this analysis and move to something else? so that you don't spend 6 years doing a particular job and you're not breaking even. So that means that 6 years has gone into the drain. So after the first, second year, because a lot of times we look at what people will say, we care so much about what people will say, we don't care about ourselves. Because one thing we should all be focused, people will always talk as long as you're living. People will always make comments. But do you care about what they make? A lot of people will not venture. A lot of people will not try their hands on anything. But you are better off than them because you're ready to take risks. You have ventured, you have tried it, and you're closing it. A lot of people say, oh, she's closing a grocery store. Oh, whose business is it? It's my business. I closed the store and I counted my costs, took the money, started another business. If I'd waited, that business would have come to an halt that there would be nothing left to take out of the business. I went on to start a bakery. And I knew that bakery will move. People will eat bread. Bread in Nigeria sells a lot. Not this time around that things are very expensive. So you don't have to look at what people will say. People will always talk as long as you're living. The only time people stop talking is when you are dead. And as long as you're living, if you want to do anything, you care less about what people say, care much about what people say, you won't move, you won't make a progress. And those people who are talking about you will not even do anything. So the only thing that makes us different from all this is when we venture, when we try. And God is actually looking for those who are ready to venture, who are ready to leave their comfort zone, to get into an uncomfort zone. And sometimes that's when you see God working. And the business now blows up. You become one of the inventors of our time. So I tell people, I said, if you don't venture, if you don't try new things right there, you will never know that this can work. And I tell my kids too, I said, try new things, do new things. I tell people right now, and I'm even verbalizing it. I was telling my husband, and thank God my husband bought the idea, that I'm getting into the White House. And I'm like, oh, how would you get into the White House? People can talk and say whatever they want to say. Joseph did. Joseph did. And I told myself, one of the reasons I want to get into the White House is because I want to change the laws of the land, that I'm going to be in the legislative. And I was telling my mentor today, I said, if I get there, I'm not going to be carrying Bible around or telling people about Jesus. No, because you have to catch them. The Bible says Peter was different things to different people in order to catch them. So if I'm going to talk to an adult, I'm going to want to dress like her. So she will feel comfortable in opening up, and I will tell her my past story or on how I had different suitors, men coming around me, to make her feel comfortable in sharing her own story. Sometimes we have to be vulnerable for others to open up. So when it comes to data analysis, we also have to know what we want to do. So sorry I digressed, but I had to make all these illustrations to let you know that you have to start somewhere. You will make mistake when starting for the first time. But what makes you good is after doing it over and over again, you get good. I told somebody I'm going to be a TED speaker, and I'm already practicing it. I have books on TED speaking, and I'm doing my speaking. Someone somewhere else might be laughing, but do I care what they say? They would hear my story. That's why I tell myself, because I'm not doing it I'm not competing with anyone. Everyone has a route. If I tell you my story, what I've been through too, you'll be like, oh my God, this lady is strong. But I don't need to tell you the story until I have my testimony complete. Then I can tell you that this is where God took me from. And this is how I went through my journey. One thing I do when I pray is, God, help me to go through my process and enjoy it and not to complain. And help me to learn the lessons, because I don't want to repeat those classes again. I don't want to repeat those scenarios again, so that I can be a great teacher to others who will probably be passing through those things, and I can be there as a mentor. I can be there to guide them. So when we get data and we make mistake in our first results, it doesn't mean that's the end of it. You have to be happy that you make mistake and move on to the next level. So in making mistakes, it makes you better, teaches you better ways to do things. In other ways, I have failed in several business, but I have done some other business in a greater way that I've succeeded. But if I never tried my hands on data, I wouldn't know data is meaningful. I won't be able to speak about data today. So knowing and defining your goals, this is what I want to gather. I'm doing a feasibility study on a particular area. Why are people not going to school? Or why are the houses giving their daughters to marriage? I can go and do an interview and get different answers from different people. I can put them together and say, this age range, believe this is what is going on. And this is the reason why they do that, so that their daughter is not exposed to having different suitors or, being promiscuous. They just make sure at a very early stage of their life, they just give them to a husband, and the girl will be faithful to that guy and worship that guy for as long as she lives. So we must define what we want to achieve in order to start whatever information or data we're gathering. And you must identify relevant data source. Where are you going to be getting information from? Determine the source of data that are pertinent to your research and your decision making. And this may include internal sources such as sales record, if you're in sales, customers database, operational data, as well as external sources such as market research reports, which of course you can get on Google, on some research platforms, industry publications, or government database. So you must understand, ensure also data quality. Prioritize your data quality by ensuring that the data you collect is accurate and complete. And that's why I say sometimes your data might not be accurate and complete. Yes, you can go back and start again. And reliable. Your data must also be reliable. Implement data validation processes from regular audits addresses any inconsistency, meaning when you check your data regularly, this will help you to check out inconsistency or errors to maintain a data with great integrity of your data, so that whatever data you bring out, people are able to believe you that, oh, whenever she works on data, forget it, she would have cleaned the data, or anything that would give you errors, she probably would have taken it off because she would have done it several times to reduce the error, because there will always be error. Human beings, sometimes you can be taking calls and you're measuring something. If you're not careful, you measure the wrong thing. That's where error starts from. And that's why when you are doing data analysis, when you're in research, you have to be focused. They don't allow you to take in phones. And they don't allow you in between to take phone calls. You understand? So that you're focused and there's no error. You also need to use advanced analytics techniques. Apply advanced analytics techniques such as statistical data, machine language, learning, or data mining, or extract meaningful insight to give you meaningful insight of your data. These are things you want to look at. And visualizing data, you should be able to say, okay, this data, if arranged like this, even without using statistical tools, you can arrange with Excel. Excel can help you. You can just go Excel and say you want to go from small to big. Excel will help you do it. So these are things you want to check to ensure your data has integrity.
Thank you so much for all of your wealth of knowledge. I have a question that came up from listening to you. So you said making mistakes is not bad. It helps you do things
better.
I want to open this up to everyone, because one of the things I started thinking about is the ethics of making mistakes. So I started asking myself, what is the cost of a mistake when it comes to human life? So for instance, you are tasked with, somebody is rushed into the hospital. I don't know how it works in the hospital, right? I'm just painting a scenario here.
No, for hospital, they have they have standard operation procedure.
Okay.
So once there's a standard, it is easier for you to be guided not to make so much error. But when there is no SOP to work with, there's bound to be, guess. That sometimes you see some doctors guessing. They're giving you this patient today. Tomorrow it's okay. If you react, call me. I will change it to something else.
Yeah.
So those are things like that. But because rules that we need to follow and guidelines. Where there are ethical rules and guidelines, you need to follow them strictly.
Yes, because that was a question that I have, because when we think about mistakes and put that side by side with human life,
no, it can be
you start asking yourself, what is the wiggle room that you have to go out there and be making mistakes?
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying, depending on where you're coming from, depending on the lives or the things you're doing analysis on. If I'm working on human life, there must be a standard operation. And that's why you see doctors are everly reading, because there are new inventions coming in, better ways to do things, Like our mothers will go through pressure in giving birth in Africa. But in this place, there's a epidural that you even be pinging and your baby is coming out of you. So doctors, you see them, okay, why are they always reading? Lawyers, why are they always reading? There are new things, new findings, new inventions. When I meant error in the sense that it might be data, maybe your business data or something, you're learning. Because, when you read books, it will tell you mistake is another way of doing things. It might even create another avenue for an invention, but not with human life. With human life, you're almost very careful not to lose that life. And that's why sometimes we use things like animals, rabbits, we use rats, we use goats. We can go to the extent of buying goats and say, okay, let's have 5 goats. We're going to try this medication on them. And that's what they do. And that's why even after a medical, a pharmaceutical product is going to be introduced to the market, they often will go to doctors who have research labs to say, okay, do you have people? And oftentimes they pay them to say, okay, we are looking for 100 people who will try this medication. We will give them money, but we will check them out on a weekly basis to see how they react to this medication. There are always ethical rules when it comes to things that have to do with life.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I wanted us to talk about that in a little bit more detail, just so that as we talk about the mistakes and all, we understand that, because we have a mixed crowd here, right? We understand that there are some places where you don't want to go making those mistakes.
Can't afford to do it.
You can't afford to do that. Thank you so much. So one of the other questions that I have is, okay, if you were gonna give advice to someone just starting out, someone that is just starting out, someone that is new to using data, new to data analysis, new to data science, what advice would you give?
Start from where you are. You have to start from where you are. You're doing a business. You want to see, oh, do I have good retention of my customers? You might want to check it out. Who are the customers that come in and out every month to buy things from me? So you want to keep their database. You want to keep a database of people who buy from you. I used to sell perfume on e-commerce platform. That's Jumia in Nigeria. Maybe if you check it, you might still find it. Just recently, when I wanted to start selling book on Jumia, I went to search it and I was like, oh my God, after how many years? If not up to 10 years. And I was just telling myself, you can go online, search data out, because we have the internet, you can get data from another country, another African country, you can get data from anywhere in the world. So it's okay, I want to know what's the particular people in this age range, what happens to them at a particular time. You have to just start from where you are. Asking yourself, okay, who are the people living in your community? I have a program coming up in 2 weeks' time on Saturday in the library. I want to go to my community. We have a lot of Asians. We have a lot of the Spanish people, Koreans around me. And I know that one of the things that we suffer as parents is, mentoring our teenagers. They have age. And now social media, what we never had exposure to. Social media is killing a lot of kids in school, such that people are not ready to read. AI is taking, I have a particular boy who was doing a dual program and was using AI to answer all of his assignments. The teacher found out. They asked him, they gave him a warning, first warning, second warning, third warning, they asked him to withdraw from the class. So that's to tell you that. And I met some group of people, parents, at an event last weekend, and the lady said, we also have a software that you can use to take off anybody so that nobody gets to know that you use AI in writing it. She showed me the software. She said she went and told the AI, rewrite this statement in a simpler term. That same thing was written in a simpler term, such that even if you pass that message in an AI machine, you will never know it's an AI that wrote that sentence. So with this age that we are, there's a lot going on. And so we want to help our people. So I'm thinking of, okay, what are the better ways to manage your kids? The number of hours they spend on social media, the number of hours they spend on watching TV or doing something else. Can you do this such that you can control it wherever you are? You can say how many hours, you can shut this, shut that. Like my son, when I call him, I'm calling them and they're not answering me, they're taking their time to answer. I just shut their data or shut something. Immediately you see them run downstairs. And they come to question me, and mommy, why are you locking my data? What have I done? What wrong have I done? And I'm like, I have another son of mine that will tell me, mommy, my grades are good. So even if I sleep on my phone all day, shouldn't complain. But my grades are good. And I tell him, I said, no, it's not about your grade being good. It's about you having a control of yourself. How can you be in school for 8 hours and you have spent 8 hours on social media? So meaning that when your teacher is in class, you're either watching something? No. So we insisted, okay, when you're leaving for school, we shut your system, you shut your phone down. You can only make phone calls, text message. Then by 2, we unlock the phone. So there are better ways to do things when it comes to information, data, analysis. Yes, but you must start from where you are to say, okay, what am I doing right now? How can I measure retention of customers? Or how can I measure the number of tribe that live in my community by doing analysis? That's why we do what you call census. In Nigeria, they go from home to home. How many children do you have? What's the age of the father? What's the age of the mother? You are gathering demographic data. And at the end of the day, people behind the back scene will gather this data together and do some kind of analysis to tell you, we have a lot of youths. So people can tell you, oh, in the last 10 years, we have a lot of youths than the elderly, meaning the elderly are dying quickly. So what could be wrong? So you might want to come up with the informed decision to say, maybe this is what we want to profile to a particular area to say, okay, it looks like we don't have older people. That means they're dying so early. So what can we do to make them stay longer so that we can have older people like 80, 90, 100? Because when you check Japanese or Chinese people, they live longer. So you want to find, okay, what are they doing? And what are they doing differently from us, from Africa? Or is it that we eat any kind of thing, or we eat so much large portion that, you know, at the end of the day affects us? Or what are they doing right? So that we can embrace. One of the reasons we do what you call data analysis and every information gathered is for us to have a better informed decision. You know, copy what is good from other countries and see how you can, you know, make it the norm in your own country or wherever you live or whatever you do, maybe in your business. You can start applying data, applying analysis, gathering information, and see how you can better deliver services to your customers.
Thank you so much. Oh, Sally has her hands up. You can go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question, right? Let's say you've been working with data for a number of years, 5, 10 years, and you have a new colleague or you have colleagues who work with data differently because everybody works with data differently.
Yeah.
Or you have a new supervisor, for instance, who wants you to kind of adopt a new style of working with data, even though your style is not wrong, right? So how do you navigate stuff like that?
One, you have to find out what area he wants you to adapt it to. You have to learn it. I didn't know every of these data analytical tools, but you have to study them to find out, okay, there must be a reason why your boss or your supervisor wants you to use a particular data. You might want to find out, okay, why? Does it give a better output? Does it make it very simplistic such that error is less error prone? So once you find out why he or she wants you to use a particular tool or a particular method, it is easier for you to embrace. One of the reasons people don't embrace other people's advice is because they're not willing to ask the question. Let's ask questions like babies, like we don't know. We want to know. So when we ask the right questions, the people who are there will be able to explain in a simpler term such that it will help you understand and help you to go and learn and read. And so, okay, let's embrace this new method. Let's see how it works. And by so doing, it becomes easier for you and you've learned something new. And so when you're going to a new employer is calling you, that's a higher pay. You cannot tell them, I can do this, I can do that, because you've learned, you've allowed yourself to learn. You put yourself to learning.
Thank you so much.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we have someone else. Go ahead. IBK, you can go ahead.
Hi, Sandra. Thank you so much for this conversation. So when you were introducing yourself, I found it kind of like really inspiring, you know, having all of these parts to you and being able to balance all of that. So I guess my question is, you know, sometimes people say, oh, you're a multi-potentialite, how you know, and I actually do see a few people who are able to balance all of these parts well. But I think for me is just knowing that you have a science background, all of this work you do with data, research, which takes a lot of time, you know, talked about sales, you do a bit of leadership and coaching and motivational work. And I mean, I can see that passion come through. So how do you bring all of these things together? How are you able to balance it? You know, and how do they all kind of like work together? How does that help you, you know, become even a better person? I think
Yeah,
that's kind of like what my
yeah,
question
that's a
is.
good question. That's a great question. I'm able to balance it. And I think just recently, I have people saying that you don't go to bed early. And I told myself that I want to start going to bed early so that I don't wake up with hangover, still wanting to go back to sleep and everything like that. And what it has helped me done better is I'm able to help people in different facets. I'm able to balance it. In my science background has helped me to be able to see, you know, things in a different lights. Now I'm working on addiction counseling. I'm helping people with, you know, issues with addiction. Like when she called me earlier, I was in class. I was doing addiction counseling, you know, and because coaching, speaking, and every of those speaking, in a way, people will come to you and say, I'm having this trouble. I'm very depressed. How do you help me? So, and I said, okay, I've been in church all my life as a counselor, church counselor, evangelism. So let me put addiction counseling, because in this side of the world, there's a lot of people smoking and drinking different things. And sometimes it gets into their head and they have mental disorder. So how do you help them when they come to you to say, I'm depressed? You want to find out where they're coming from. You want to be able to address them. Because of my science background, I have a lot of data. So I'm able to find out from them, where do they live? Who are the people they live with? So I'll be able to tell you, what are the age range of the people you live with? What are the influences they're having on you? If you say you're smoking this, is anybody in the house smoking it? How did you get to start smoking it? You must have seen it, either peer pressure or something. So with all of this information, my science background has given me the strength to stretch myself. There is really nothing the human mind cannot do. A lot of times we are the ones limiting ourselves. So when it gets to a time and I'm like, oh my God, it's 12 midnight. Let me at least have 6 hours of sleep. I'll just shut my laptop because nobody's giving me the job to do and nobody's going to spank me if I don't get it done. But I'm just the one putting myself to learning. I'm the one stretching myself. So when it's 12 o'clock and I'm like, no, it's time for you to go and sleep. You understand? But you have to just put a balance to everything. You understand? So when I wake up in the morning, like this morning, I woke up, I said, after my Bible reading, I'm going to do a test. I'm going to do the test 3 times today because I have an exam tomorrow morning. So I'd already told myself, okay, I'm going to do this, do that. So when I did the test, before that day, I had failed this exam like 7 times. Inside me, I was bothered because I'll tell you, I've never failed. But I said, this is a phase that God is taking me through. So, and I did this test because it has nothing to do with, it's just financial certification to become a licensed financial strategist in the state of Maryland. So, and I didn't read. I was going from question to answer. So I found that I was struggling with it. So this time around, I now went back to read and watch the videos. I'm sorry. Let me stop the phone. Sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back immediately. I'm sorry. So I had to go back to watch videos, to read the nitty-gritty. Now I'm passing it like this. And I'm like, you know, you cannot start to build a house from the top. You must go from the foundation. I started from the top. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to sit down. So I went from questions. I went from all the different presentations I've attended to thinking that I'll be able to get the answers. But I found that I struggled. I did this test like 7 times, 8 times. Even got to a time I said, God, number of grace. By this 5th time, Lord, I prayed and I went back and I'm like, why am I feeling this? So, I've learned something that we are allowed to fail and we're allowed to rise up again. This time around, I did it. I've been getting 70 something. I'm passing it. This morning I did it. I got 80. I said, no, I will do it again like 2 or 3 times before I go to bed. I should be able to get like 90 because I have read it over and over again. I've watched videos on it. I've attended instructor-led classes. Tonight again, I'm going to be in an instructor-led class to get myself prepared. Tomorrow morning by 7, I have to be on my way to the exam or to go and write the exam. The human mind can do anything, but you have to just find out timing to do everything. When my kids come, I'm slower to doing so much because I need to give them a bit of attention, go and check, okay, Mom, what can I eat? What's there for me to eat? And distraction, okay, what are they doing? Oh, I'm downstairs in the study. I have to check on them so that they don't sleep late, check what they're doing so that they're doing their assignment. So, but now that they are not home, I'm doing a lot. I was in class today. I've done 2 hours of class, 10 to 11. I came out of the class. I've done an exam 9 to 10. And from 11:30 to 12, I've been in a call with a friend for 30 minutes. We're talking. I went for class again, 12 to 1. Even when Andrea called me, my class was still on. I had to leave the class to join this because I know whatever is being discussed is questions. I'll go back and call maybe 1 or 2 of my classmates just to find out what I said, maybe missed out on. And between 2 and 3, I have a meeting with a friend. So you must, be able to leave having an agenda of what you want to achieve so that before the end of the day, check yourself. Have I been able to achieve? So this is one thing that has made me gone back to my goals. We set goals at the beginning of the year, but we don't achieve them. Towards the end of the year, we get under pressure like, oh, I must do it. Do you check them out daily? Now my mentor sent me a message. How are you doing with your goals? She put me on it. For 30 minutes, I was shaking my head. I didn't want to give an excuse. But I had a tenable excuse because I had surgery in January. And of course, someone that had surgery in January is in pains. So I had tenable reasons why I did not achieve anything in January and February. So, but I was asking myself, even with the surgery, does that stop me from doing what I want to do? So when I responded to her, I sent a message to her. She said, you are hiding from what I'm asking you. Tell me. And I told her, okay, I went straight to the point. I said, I've not done so well, and I don't want to give excuse. I know because I had surgery, but that's not an excuse too. While I'm at home, I could have been doing something. You understand? So in life, if you give excuse, you're doing yourself. Yes, excuse is good, but we can do everything. Anything you want to do, just think about it. And that's why sometimes I refer to the Bible verse, Genesis 11:6. When the people came together and they were building a tower to heaven, God saw them and God said, if I leave these people, they will get to heaven. The only way God would bring confusion was to give them different languages. And that was what dismantled them. They became scattered. So whatever you want to do, put a date to it. Get an accountability partner. Get someone to, like me, I don't have, because if I have, I'm going to scare the person. The person is going to say, you're doing too much. That's, I can't catch up with you, Sandra. And that's because upbringing really matters, your foundation. How did you start life? My parents were military. My dad was a military person. So I have suffered a lot of beating from my dad. So then growing up, I was like, oh my God, this man cannot be my father. He's a wicked man. But when I got to college, I loved him. He became my pal. Because in school, the things I do, my friends would be like, Sandra, you act like a guy. When girls are thinking of fashion, hair to buy, the latest wear, you are thinking about land, houses, assets to get. And that's because of upbringing. You can't change me. My husband would tell me, I wish I'm like you, but thank God I have you as a wife. My children will learn from you. So with my kids too, even my son told me, Mommy, I don't think you're enjoying yourself. On my birthday, they were meant to give feedbacks about Mommy, to tell me my weak areas so I can change. One of my sons said, I don't know how you're enjoying life. And I said, well, my study, where I read, is just okay for me. But I now told them, I said, when you guys are watching, call me. Because that's not my lifestyle, to go sit down to watch. Once in a while, I'm like, okay, I want to watch one of this Christian movie, Mount Zion, because I do. One day I went somewhere, someone was asking me, secular musician, Sandra, can you give us one of these melodies or song? I was begging my husband. I said, please give me a title and everything. I was like, I need to go and start. Even though as Christians, you want to know what's going on in the secular world. I love to dance, but I cannot tell you one musician name. Because it took me a while to serve God, because I was like, music was one thing. I said, God, why did you create music? Music was a distraction for me to serving you. Because I love to dance and I love to, want to go to parties. So when I stopped it, I never went back to them. But when I hear them play, I want to dance to it. I want to listen to them, but I don't remember the musician. So, but sometimes when you get to a public space, people are asking you, what song do you want to dance to? Will I say the religious music? Because nobody will ask you about religious music. So my husband said, tell them you don't know anything. It's religious music, you know. So I said, can you say that to me? So eventually somebody I just said something just to excuse myself from that scenario. So there'll be scenarios like you need to know what is going on around you and you need to catch up. So even myself now, I'm not doing enough. My son is doing wrestling and he's always watching wrestling. I don't know any wrestler. So because of him now, I'm going to go and watch wrestling. I don't need to watch wrestling, but I want to be able to get into his conversation to say, okay, this guy is good. Sometimes when he's going to go and wrestle, he will come. That's the time he will get close to God. I told him, Michael, you're not so much into God. I said, that's why you fail your matches. Because sometimes he will go and say, the guy is too big. I didn't win this battle. But sometimes again, he comes back and says, Mommy, I won all my battles today. And I'm like, I told him, I said, because you're not into God. You only come to God when you want to win a battle. Do you understand? And so there's so much we can do. And if I continue to talk from now to tomorrow, we'll not leave here. Sorry, let me just take a break and allow some other questions.
Thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you to everyone that has asked questions. I've been taking lots of notes. I really wanted to buttress something that you talked about, and that is, and tying that into the world of data. I think having a mentor, someone that you can run the work that you do by.
Sorry, I would like to, if you don't mind, take a bow.
Yes. I'm just wrapping up.
I never knew.
Thank you so much. Yes. All right. So just making sure that.
But I'm open to questions. You can leave them all my details. They can send me whatever questions. If they need help in mentoring, guidance, in anything, I'm available.
Okay. You guys, everyone,
I'll take a bow, please.
All right.
I'm so sorry I have to go.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much to everyone for coming. Thank you for always showing up. If you have any questions for Sandra, like you said, you can send them to me and I will send them over. And we will meet in 2 weeks' time. Have a great one, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Are you thinking of how to publish your book on Amazon or how to get your published book to become an Amazon bestseller book? Dip Insight Books is the perfect in-between solution in transforming your ideas into a book. We can help you with all the complicated parts of publishing, such as process TO transformation. What we do: full manuscript evaluation, receive quality assurance edit, full copy edit and final proofread to remove spelling and grammar mistakes, oversee your cover design, create your interior layout, publish and distribute your book, lock down your marketing strategy. Ghostwriting, where there is no manuscript. Our goal is to help you publish your book promptly. Contact us today at 404-740-9091. Email us at info@dipinsightworld.com. To start the submission process, check us out at www.books.dipinsightworld.com and submit your details. You can visit our Facebook page at Dip Insight World.
If you've made it this far into this video, thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe so you can support your girl. Thank you.